Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2. Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. We'll talk some LSU baseball with Chris Blair coming up in 15 minutes. LSU in South Carolina this weekend. Michael Colville tweeted this out a little bit earlier, so just put this on your radar. LSU and South Carolina are considering moving Friday's game to Saturday as part of a doubleheader. The forecast for tomorrow in Baton Rouge is not very good, so that decision won't be made until tomorrow. It will not be made today. But if you are planning to go to the game tomorrow night, just be alert tomorrow. They may move it. No decision been made, but it's on the radar at least. So we'll push off the dock here in hour number 2 with some LSU football talk. I have no doubt whatsoever, that Labor Day weekend in this town is going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible because you're going to have two iconic brands that played for a national championship 6 years ago in Tiger Stadium for one of the most highly anticipated season openers in the history of LSU football. That much is not up for debate. It's going to be a madhouse, and it's going to be a great night for college football in Baton Rouge, no doubt. That's one part of this discussion. And the second part is, when's the next time we're going to see it? And my answer to that is not anytime soon. When you talk about non-conference games in that stadium against marquee brands, I don't know that you're going to see it anytime soon again. Why do I say that? Well, because I'm listening to Lane Kiffin, and I know what Lane Kiffin has done. And whether you like it or hate it, it is what it is. So let's listen to Lane Kiffin, and then we'll take an examination of what he has done in his past, and I'll tell you how I've arrived at my conclusion. This is Lane Kiffin earlier this week talking about the importance of scheduling in terms of college football's playoff selection parameters.
Scheduling is so much more important than people think, and who you play, what time do you play, is their quarterback happen to be out that week, or around the country. It's just different than the NFL. I saw the thing somebody sent me where you got teams playing where they play their entire conference schedule and play 5 to 9 draft picks on the whole schedule. We play that in one game. So that's a big difference. I know it's been a topic discussion why they need to figure out how to change the value of schedule and how much that means, because I joke and I say to you and I are whatever, pickleball partners or tennis, whatever it is. We can schedule in this room of all these teams and pick those teams over there, and we can go 12-0. We're the same team. We go play them and play the same games. We might be 8-4. So it's just our sport hasn't figured that out, and I feel like basketball has.
So Lane Kiffin is telling you that scheduling is massively important, and that I can have the same group of guys. I play a lighter schedule, 12-0. I play a tougher schedule, 8-4. Not based on the team I put together, based on the schedule I put together. That's what he's telling you. Right out there in front. And what I am deducing from that, what I am inferring from that, is that he believes that an SEC 10-2 is probably not the same as an ACC 10-2. Probably not the same as a Big 12 10-2. Probably not the same as a Notre Dame 10-2. I'm inferring that from what he's saying. He's saying there are some teams that play 4 or 5 draft picks the whole year. We play that in one game. I don't think I'm jumping too far to make this correlation. And so you look at what the College Football Playoff Committee has done, and you could suggest that, he thinks you should not just look at the wins and losses, but look at who you lost to and who you beat. I think maybe the apt example for this year would be Texas. They took a first-year starting quarterback on the road to Ohio State, lost a 7-point game. 1-score game they lost. Texas went 9-3 this year. They beat number 7 Texas A&M on the road. They beat number 8 Oklahoma, who went to the playoffs at a neutral site. They beat number 14 Vanderbilt. If they don't go on the road and lose at Ohio State and they play Texas State instead, they're 10-2 with those 3 wins. Should that be in? I don't know, but you lost. You're 9-3. You're out. You're basically looking at this going, they think every 10-2 is the same, and if you have a third loss, you're out. That's what Lane Kiffin is basically telling you. The Texas put this marquee game on its schedule, and it cost them. And you don't have to do that. What do you have to do? Well, you have to play 9 league games. The SEC is mandating you do that. And you have to play 1 Power 5 game outside of the league. You have to do that. And I have in front of me right here Lane Kiffin's Power 5 games he played at Ole Miss. Do you want to hear about them? It ain't Clemson. Last year, Ole Miss met that requirement via grandfather by playing Washington State. No, Washington State wasn't in a Power 4 conference last year. Their conference abandoned them, but they met the requirement because they had been a Pac-12 team and it was on the schedule. Washington State has won 10-win season in the last 21 years. Prior to them playing Ole Miss in 2025, they were 8-5, 5-7, 7-6. This is the team Lane Kiffin called to get on the schedule. Now, I'm aware every program changes year to year, and last year, if you had put Indiana on your schedule from 6 years prior, you got a little bit of a wake-up call. Illinois was pretty good last year. Hadn't been all that great over recent history, right? Vanderbilt, not quite the team they were 6 years ago. I get it. Teams change year to year. Coaches change. Portal period. You can't know. But Washington State has not been good, and Lane Kiffin put them on the schedule. What did he do before that? Well, in 2024, they played Wake Forest. Wake Forest has had 1 10-win season in the last 18 years. Wake Forest was 4-8 2 years ago. The year before they played Ole Miss, 4-8. Year before that, 8-5. You're pretty confident when you throw Wake on the schedule, you're not getting a juggernaut. 2 years before that, home and home, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech. 1 10-win season in the last 16 years for Georgia Tech. Prior to Ole Miss playing Georgia Tech in 2023 and 2022, Georgia Tech had 3 consecutive 3-win seasons. Doormat. Lane got him on the phone. I'm not telling you what you should think or what you shouldn't think. That's not what this segment is about. There are a lot of you out there that say to beat the man, you gotta beat the man. Iron sharpens iron. Give me the biggest, baddest schedule. 2017 played Virginia Tech. Give me everybody you got. 2011, they opened up with Oregon. I want all the tough teams. You can do that. That's fine. That you can feel that way. I'll never talk you off that. I like Lane's idea. I think it makes more sense if you're trying to win a championship. I would equate it like this. If I'm going to run the 100-meter hurdles, I've got obstacles in the way. LSU this year in league play is going to play Ole Miss. They're going to play A&M. They're going to play Texas. They're going to play Alabama. They're going to play Tennessee. They're going to play Auburn. This is not a layup schedule here. It's the 100-meter hurdles. I got to jump over these hurdles. I don't also need somebody shooting me with a water gun from the non-conference while I'm trying to run through it. Okay? Like, I don't need to add extra obstacles in the Southeastern Conference. That's how I feel. That's not what this is about, though. You may feel your way. Give me the biggest and the baddest schedule possible. Fine. I feel one way. I'll play by the rules, but I'm not going to make life more difficult on myself. But it doesn't matter how you feel or how I feel. What matters is how Lane Kiffin feels. He's in charge. He's telling you. Until we change the rules, I think scheduling is really, really important. He thought scheduling was really important at Ole Miss, Washington State, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech. Oh, by the way, in 3 of those 4 years, he would have made the playoff if it was 12 teams. It was only 12 teams once. They made it. Making the playoff seems good. So I'm just telling you, no matter how you feel, Labor Day weekend in this town is going to be on fire. It's going to be electric. Band comes down the hill, Clemson orange in the southeast end zone. Dabo running them out of the tunnel, the tiger paw, LSU comes out of there, lanes rip roared, it's sold out, it's going to be 100 degrees. It's going to be incredible. Soak it in. As far as non-conference goes, that ain't happening again while Lane Kiffin's here. That's just not. He doesn't see it that way. Until they start looking at it from an RPI perspective like basketball and baseball, where your strength of schedule really matters, and you're 11-1 in this conference is not as good as the 9-3 in this conference, so we're putting 9-3 in. Like, until they do that, you're going to get subpar non-conference games out of Lane Kiffin. I would bet anything on it. Boston College, Rutgers, Kansas. That's what you're going to get. You may get an NC State, Arizona. Like, that's who Lane's going to call. Because he's not going to make life more difficult on himself. And Texas did it last year, and they paid for it. We'll see, but that's just my thought on it. I got a column up at louisianasports.net as of right this second. By the way, before we go to Chris Blair, thought from you two, would you rather play the biggest, baddest schedule on the block, or would you rather do what Lane does? They're completely different schools of thought on this. Taylor, the two guys you sit with in the morning want to play Florida 12 times out of the year. I think that's asinine and out of control, but what do you think?
The competitor in me says, give me the tough games. You're going to have to play them anyways. However, if I was being smart and methodical about it, you got to get there in order to play those tough teams.
Yeah.
And the SEC's tough enough. So, I mean, if I'm being smart about it, I'm probably scheduling the way Lane is. If I want to be a fan about it, I'd probably like the tough games.
Yeah, as a fan-wise, I would like to play Clemson, because, like I said, I told you this before. If I can bottle up that feeling I got after beating Clemson week 1 and sell that on the streets, I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Now, but again, I would much rather be sitting there, in the playoff talks, and we played, I don't know, North Dakota Tech or something like that.
You'd have been in the playoff talks
Literally.
when you went to College Station in 2022 if you hadn't scheduled Florida State to open the season.
The Moose Muhammad game. How can I forget the Moose Muhammad game when he killed Sage Ryan?
Never heard from that guy again.
Yeah, the Moose Muhammad game. But yeah, no, the fan in me would rather the big game, but if we're being smart and we're trying to win a championship, obviously you got to get the cupcake, and then you SEC strong enough.
I gave you 6 games. They're not easy. You got a lot of tough games. You got somebody suspended. Somebody's got a sprained ankle. Texas State doesn't sound so bad anymore.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We'll talk to Chris Blair coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Get that. It's not, that word just didn't come out right. Get that Generac home standby generator from my friends over at Boudreaux's Electrical Services. The time to think about storm season is now. It's not when the storm's already showing up. It's now. If you want to make sure you have that peace of mind of knowing that you're not going to lose power in the storm, or if you evacuate for the storm and come back, Boudreaux's Electrical can help you out with that. Justin Boudreaux or somebody from their team will come out. They'll take a look at your home. They'll find a spot for you. They'll get you a quote really, really quickly. And they'll have a local team come and install that Generac home standby generator. But once the installation happens, that's not the end. That's the beginning. They monitor it 24/7 to make sure that it's functioning. They'll send maintenance out if there needs to be something done so that when the power goes out, your Generac home standby generator is ready to spring into action. Got to give them a call. It's 225. Well, the 225, there is a 225 number over there at Boudreaux's Electrical. Give them a call, 225-300-9389. The old faithful number, 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562. You can also find them online at boudreauxelectrical.com, boudreauxelectrical.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Moving right along here, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Time now to talk to the voice of the Tigers. Chris Blair joins us on Thursdays via the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris, how are you?
Great, man. Enjoyed the weekend in Starkville outside of the games, but very happy to be back at the box sometime this weekend.
For sure, at some point. We talked about it a little earlier. We'll see if they play tomorrow, maybe 2 on Saturday. Determination to be made tomorrow. Offensively, they swung the bats, scored 8 runs in each of the 3 games over the weekend. I know you talked to Coach Johnson about it on Monday's Coaches Show. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's again one of those issues. He gave credit to the offense. Really felt like they played well enough, to get the wins. I mean, from an offensive standpoint, I thought, you saw a couple of the guys even elevate their game a little bit. And I'm referring obviously to Kate Beatty and Omar Cerna, who right now sit atop LSU in a number of categories offensively over the last couple of weeks. And then, you had to insert some freshmen who were obviously very talented, not a ton of experience, but they were able to I think, not only add to that experience, but I think show why they are at LSU. And again, I think it's one of those weekends again where you were able to get enough from one phase of the game, but not enough in the other. I know there were, close to 30 strikeouts or thereabouts, somewhere in that neighborhood, but I think 22 walks and then a handful, 6+ wild pitches and hit by batter or hit by pitch. So, I mean, suddenly it's not hard to figure out why those games slipped away. And you've had another weekend where one phase of the game was probably good enough to get the win. The other part kind of let them down.
It's been interesting to hear Jay Johnson talk to the media, speak on his radio show just about where he is with this team and with the program as a whole. We know that Josh Simpson was not there on Tuesday. He was out recruiting on a game day. We know that LSU is committed to playing the freshmen. Your thoughts on kind of how he's approached the last month of this season, understanding that there's a future of this program that he has to handle at the same time as the present?
I talked to him obviously on Monday, and I visited with him a little bit today. And, it's kind of twofold. One is he's very well aware of the work that's got to be done and what they are missing, what they have to go do, and all of those things that are part of building a roster. And he's talked about it the last couple of weeks. And he's also quick to point out, Hunt, that this season's not over. And there'll be a full evaluation, as there is every year, from top to bottom in the program. And I think, he doesn't need me out here telling everybody that I don't worry or not to worry, that things are going to be fine. I mean, he's proven that. So I think it's kind of a two thing approach where, again, there's 10 games remaining, 9 in the SEC. Several of those games, if not all, will certainly have some weight should you be able to win those games. So, again, I don't think he's just thrown in the season. He was asked today during the media session of evaluating this or evaluating this aspect, and he said, I've got thoughts. He said, but I really have not taken the time, as I do every year, to sit down, go through it all, go through the checklist, evaluate how we're doing everything, and then come up with a new game plan. But again, he's also mentioned that he understands where the shortfalls are. So that, to me, is exactly what I would expect from Jay Johnson, having known him over these past 4+ years. And goodness knows, I don't think he's ready to throw up the white flag that there's no chance this team can't play in the postseason. Certainly, they've got a lot stacked against them, and we've talked about the small margin of error where it's razor thin now. But having said that, I still think, the rest of the country, certainly the rest of the SEC, they may smile for a brief second if LSU misses the postseason, that they don't have to deal with an LSU. But at the same time, very quickly they're going to realize Jay Johnson at home the month of June with the portal open in May is probably not a good thing for everybody else.
We will we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Play South Carolina this weekend. Sounds like Case and Evans kind of a game time decision for the weekend. Marcos Paz is going to get a start at some point. What have you seen from the freshman right-hander?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's much like you can apply to the position players. I mean, the stuff is there. You can see it, and there are flashes of it. And, a guy who missed all of his senior year with a surgery and having to shut down the arm, again, tells you how many front offices in Major League Baseball had Marcos Paz on their list. It's why he came to LSU. And now it's just a matter of applying those innings and those pitches and that experience on the mound. Not worried about him at all. I mean, I think you can look at Marcos Paz and take some of those flashes and take some of those good things, his pitch mix, and when he's in control and command, and look at a number of great LSU pitchers and say, yeah, he's not farther along or farther behind than any of those great pitchers that came in to their sophomore and junior campaign. So I like Marcos. I think he's got a lively fastball. When he's got that command, I think he's a difficult pitcher to hit. And again, it's kind of like, can he help us now to help us win games? The answer, I think, is yes. And he also is going to be able to get this experience this year. And then will he be in the mix come fall ball and obviously next February? 100%, absolutely.
One of the guys that has not played a ton over the last 2 years, but has made some big impacts, including back last weekend, is Eddie Yaman. And I've never had the chance to talk to him. They brought him out post-game, and we chatted with him a little bit after a tough loss on Saturday. I know you've been around him a little bit and certainly seen his role in the program over the last 2 years, but that's a cool story of a kid who's never complained and now is getting a chance every once in a while to go out there and make a play, and had a big swing on Saturday night.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I was thrilled. I mean, I think we all three were in the booth. I mean, the moment was big, and, you get an opportunity like that. As I said, I know the Tigers didn't win the game, and that was the ultimate goal, but there's no doubt in my mind that Eddie Yaman IV is not going to remember that night for the rest of his life, in an absolute crazy atmosphere where you were able to put a quiet hush over Duty Noble. So I was happy for him. But, yeah, I mean, we had him on the show, pregame show on Tuesday, and Jay's talked about it. He's a great team guy. I mean, you've got to have that in the locker room. You got to have that in the dugout. Whether you're playing every game and you're contributing, and you're batting 350 or above and hitting home run, or you're just a very good teammate that works hard in practice, that sets a good example, and understands, has a big mature look at where he is. And, again, when you get those opportunities, whether it's behind the plate catching, whether it's at first base, or, oh, by the way, we're going to need you in left field tonight. And I know he told us on Tuesday that he had some experience, not a ton at the college level, but he knew the basics, and I thought played pretty well. So he's a good character guy, and I think he's probably, when he's in the game, when he comes to the plate, I think every Tiger fan is probably rooting for him, because you can't help but want to see guys like that succeed when the opportunity is there.
LSU in South Carolina, scheduled for first pitch 6 o'clock on Friday, whenever it does happen over the weekend, whether it's 6:30 on Friday or starting up on Saturday. 30 minutes beforehand, you can find pregame on Eagle 98.1 here in Baton Rouge, the LSU Sports Radio Network. Chris Blair will be on the call. Thanks, Chris.
You got it, man.
That is Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, here with us every single Thursday. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. We're chugging along here on this Thursday. Still got plenty to get to over the course of the next 30 minutes. We'll hear a little bit from Lane Kiffin in our next segment. We got to take it or leave it to come. So don't go anywhere. Hang out with us. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com. They're actively hiring at Lifetime Roofing. So if you're looking for a new job, if you're looking for a job that offers benefits, 401k, that is one of the only legitimate W-2 roofing companies in the entire state of Louisiana, Lifetime Roofing is hiring. So if you're looking for a gig, contact them at lifetimeroofingla.com. If you aren't looking for a job, but you're looking for a roof, they can do that as well, and they can offer 0% financing for 18 months. You can also finance a deductible if need be. And as of January 1st, they can offer you a lifetime workmanship warranty, which, of course, covers the craftsmanship, but also the materials, which are backed by CertainTeed, one of the oldest and most trusted names in building materials. Looking for gutters, looking for siding, looking for windows, looking for a roof. They do it all at Lifetime Roofing. They're online at lifetimeroofingla.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef, but I want to remind you about First American Bank and Trust here. First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com, FABT.com. Started up in 1910, 116 years later, they're still trucking along, grown to 25 locations throughout southeast Louisiana. That means there's always one near you in our little corner of the world, whether you're up the I-12 corridor in St. Tammany or Tangipahoa, maybe down the Bayou, St. John, Lafourche, Terrebonne. They got you covered. Maybe you're near Baton Rouge, Dutchtown, Jones Creek. First American Bank and Trust has a family feel and a culture that also has the resources that the big national banks provide. If you're looking for a commercial loan, First American Bank and Trust. If you're looking for a personal loan, First American Bank and Trust. Why? Well, I told you they're local, but that doesn't mean they're small. The decisions that are being made on your commercial loan, on your personal loan, are made locally with First American Bank and Trust. Find them online at FABT.com. FABT.com. Got a lot from Lane Kiffin back on Monday, so continue to kind of sift through it as the week moves forward to hit some topics as LSU exits the spring. And the question that was asked that got the longest answer from Lane Kiffin on Monday was, did you get what you wanted out of spring? It was a very open-ended question. I'll just kind of see where he goes with it.
When we decided, to take Sam, part of that was having to realize, okay, he was not going to, for the most part, be there in the spring, and that would have you have a certain feeling about spring, that he's not there, but understand it's about the long term and what that looks like. So I think that played into a little bit, plus some other players not playing. So I think when you add in him, the receiver, Witt, you're going to add some pieces back in where you're going to feel different, in the fall or even the summer. But I think the guys did a really good job buying in, working hard, really trying to do the right things, very little distractions from guys. There's good and bad to everything. I think the no spring portal, obviously is bad in your first year because you'd like to have it now that you've been here for a while to assess your roster and everything. But the good part is you don't have the problems that we had before, and everybody getting calls from other places and in the middle of spring ball already thinking about, are they going to be here, or they don't like their play time. So from that point, that helped limit distractions. So I thought they did a good job that way. I think we have a long ways to go with learning our systems inside and out and making sure that we're using players in the right spots and not just running our system because that's what our system was.
There's a lot to chew on in that bite, okay? So he talked about Levitt being out, and obviously we've discussed that ad nauseum. I don't think there's anything to add to that, but you understand not having your quarterback there limits what you can get in terms of feedback in the spring. We understand that. He also mentioned some guys not playing. He mentioned the wide receiver and Witt. That's Witt Weeks, obviously. And the wide receiver is Trey Brown. Trey Brown comes from Old Dominion. He's a guy who was down to LSU and Ohio State at the end. And we haven't talked a lot about Trey Brown because he wasn't out there much. So I don't really know much about him other than what I've seen on highlight tapes and what the measurables say. But I do know that Ohio State and LSU were the two schools that were courting him the hardest in the transfer portal, so that suggests he can really play. And for Lane Kiffin to mention him in that spot, because he didn't mention Solomon Thomas, who didn't practice at all. I think there is expectation that Trey Brown is going to come in and help in fall camp, and that'll be somebody I put some eyes on early when we get out there in August to kind of see what that looks like, because we just didn't. But you understand that when you don't have guys out there, and especially with your quarterback, there are some things that you don't necessarily learn that you're going to have to catch up on in the fall. So that's an obvious thing. The follow-up question was asked, like, what questions do you have coming out of spring?
Oh, there's a lot of those. We haven't even tackled yet, so how well are we going to tackle on defense? How well are the backs, all skilled, but especially backs, going to do when they're getting tackled? We've got some players coming back from injuries. So there's a lot. It was really good to have, but I still feel like we need fall camp and summer so much to get things to where we need them to be.
I would agree with all of that. Now, one thing I will say is that, yes, they did not tackle all of spring. Fact. Can you assess your tackling if you're not tackling? No, you cannot. I can also go, who led the SEC in tackles last year? TJ Daugherty. He's on the team. Okay, who was second? Devon Keys. He's on the team. Who was second last year in 2024? Witt Weeks. He's on the team. So tackling at the linebacker spot, not going to be a big problem. Ty Benefield made, let me check my notes, 1 billion tackles at Boise State over the last couple of years. Not super concerned about him. Tamarcus Cooley's a pretty good tackler. You got a lot of guys on this defense with a lot of skins on the wall in terms of tackling. You want to assess your offense's ability to break tackles? I'm with you. I want to see that too, because there are a lot of plays that we saw in spring football where guys got in space and you just have a little bit of a thud or a little bit of a touch, and I'm going, I wonder if Trey Wilson breaks that tackle. He's pretty shifty. I wonder if Phillip Wright runs through that. I wonder if Dylan Jones goes down on that first hit. He's a pretty thick dude, and he's got a head of steam. So that is something that they'll certainly have to assess here. But I don't feel as bad about the tackling situation from a defensive perspective, because I think you've got a lot of guys on this defense that have made a lot of tackles in their time. So the last thing here is the spring portal window. He said that in the first bite. You like to have a spring portal window to assess your team. There is a good deal where there aren't guys calling your players in the spring to get them out of there while they're still practicing. But he suggests that he would want a spring portal window in his first year at LSU, and he talked about that.
Yeah, I've been very open about that. I wish that there was. another one. I've talked to coaches about that, and coaches that have been somewhere 2-3 years feel differently because they like that they have their whole roster and that they've evaluated it for a time. So they knew what was coming back before. They knew how it fit, how players knew you. But in your first year, I don't think many coaches would say that, but if they were honest, they'd probably say that they wish there was one. But there isn't, and so, you got to look at it more like old college football, not the NFL, which otherwise it's become like the NFL, meaning you're moving through free agency, trying to improve your roster, where the old college way was this is what you had, period. There was no portal, and you got to develop those guys. So that's our challenge to our assistant coaches is, hey, there's nowhere to go, so let's make sure we're developing our guys the best we can and looking at what they can do, not what they can't do.
I think there are two things about the spring portal window with LSU that stand out. One, undoubtedly, when you take 40-plus new players, they got through a spring workout and said, yeah, that guy's not what we thought. I can't give you a name there. I probably wouldn't anyway. But, you understand that. You bring in 40-something, and that's not what we thought we were getting. Because it's speed dating. You're looking at tape. You bring a guy in for a visit, maybe, and then you got 4 days to make this thing happen. And undoubtedly at some position somewhere, okay, this is not quite what we thought. So you might go to the portal and try to bring someone in to compete there. Again, I don't have a position for you. I don't have a player for you, but you understand, the odds that they're over the moon with 40 guys they brought in are pretty unlikely, right? And then you got the injuries. And I think if LSU had a spring portal window, they would be interested in a depth cornerback piece. I think so. Because you've got, obviously, Pickett and Woodland. Jakeem Jackson's your third guy up. Anding was fourth, and he got hurt. So you've got, Michael Turner and Havon Finney. Des Ricks is coming. You got a McNeese transfer, Southern transfer. I think they would probably go get a corner if they could, because you lost one to injury. That was probably your fourth corner. So that is an understandable lament from Lane Kiffin that they don't have that opportunity. Nobody does. LSU's not unique in that, but I was surprised that they didn't go to the portal for a dude at corner. They got a couple, but they're clearly depth pieces. My probably overly aggressive, overly confident thought on LSU at corner is that Corey Raymond can pick up the phone and pretty much get most of the people he's interested in. Not everybody. Money talks. Home's different for some places. Playing time's not right there at the ready for everybody here. Not everybody, but you can add an impact corner. And I'm surprised they did not do that in the first portal period, and then Andy got hurt. So I think they would probably like to do that. But if you want to put a bow on spring football for LSU, I feel like my sense is that things went positively. The defense really showed up early. Other than Relaford, was pretty injury-free. Forced some turnovers early. Developed some depth. Looks really good at linebacker and in the secondary. I think the defense looks pretty good. The offense really came along late. You've got some guys emerging at running back. You've got loads of talent at wide receiver. Your offensive line was set after week 2 with Bordelon at left guard and everybody else remained the same. I think there are a lot of positives to LSU in spring football. It's optimism season. Unless a bunch of guys get hurt, you're never going to be overly pessimistic in spring because nobody loses a game in the spring. But I think outside of 2 injuries that things went pretty well. You got to get your quarterback back in the fold. That's now the goal of the program. Get the quarterback back. The other guys are out there. They're working. You're developing them. You're developing a depth chart. Nothing really matters without the quarterback, and they got to get him up to speed at this point. So that's what the summer's for, and they'll get back after it in the fall, in the beginning of August. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. We've only got one segment left to go. We'll come back, play some Take It or Leave It next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Ochsner wants to help direct you where you need to be directed. There are 3 different ways to be seen at Ochsner, and you got to be sure you're headed to the right place. So visit their symptom checker online at ochsner.org/findcare. Primary care is your comprehensive care, your continuous care. It's your immunizations, chronic disease management like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, maybe mild asthma. That's just your primary care doctor. You can do virtual visits or schedule online at www.ochsner.org/brprimary. If you've got common illnesses or minor injuries but need to be seen quickly, urgent care is available for you. Sprains, broken bones, urinary pain, earaches, fevers, flu-like symptoms, maybe rashes or skin irritations. They'll see at urgent care. Walk-ins are welcome. They've got extended hours, and there are multiple locations, so find the location nearest you at ochsner.org/urgent care. If you've got severe or life-threatening conditions, emergency care is immediate. Go to the emergency room or call 911. Severe chest pain, severe bleeding, severe head trauma, call 911 or visit an emergency room at Ochsner. My Ochsner has virtual visits available at Ochsner. My Ochsner. You can also have convenient follow-ups and routine care. Call Ochsner on call at 1-800-231-5257. That's 1-800-231-5257. That's our friends at Ochsner.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef, some of the best beef in the country, and it is right here from just north of Baton Rouge in Ethel at Sagrera Farms. I tell you about that IMF score, intramuscular fat score. That's how you tell how good beef is. If you're talking 1 to 3, that's your select beef. That's the bottom of the barrel. Talking 3 to 8, that's your choice. That's what 60% is. You see a lot of that at a lot of restaurants. Prime is the top of the line. That's what you get at fine dining restaurants. That's what you get at Sagrera Farms. But you're talking about 9+. They've got cows on the farm right now, 14, 16, 18, 20. Twice the double, more than double the standard for prime. You can have it in your freezer. Buy a quarter, buy a side, buy a whole cow. From Sagrera Farms, you will be blown away at the quality of this beef. The marbling, the tenderness, the flavor. It is all there. Sean takes it seriously. Every single cow that is on that farm is a 3-year journey. It's genetically mated by premium cattle. It's raised on grass, finished on grain, dry-aged 45 days. It's the best of the best, and it's right here at Sagrera Farms. There's 2 places you can get Sagrera Farms beef. 2. Sagrera Farms and Supper Club. That's it. So if you're looking for some of the best, no deposit, you don't pay for it if you don't like it, Sagrera Farms. Call Sean, 719-1723. Again, 719-1723. Sagrera Farms brings you our Thursday shows each and every week. All right, LSU's made an announcement. They're going to go with William Schmidt on Friday, Marcos Paz on Saturday, and that's incorrect. TBD on Sunday. That's Case and Evans. Spot is TBD. We don't know if Evans is going to pitch. He has not been ruled out. He has not been ruled in. LSU is just going to play that by ear, and they're certainly not going to rush it. So Schmidt will get the ball in game 1, Paz game 2, and then it'll be TBD in game 3. As we've talked about a lot over the course of the last 2 hours, the forecast is not good for Baton Rouge tomorrow. There's a possibility LSU and South Carolina move the Friday game to Saturday. That won't be decided until tomorrow. How that impacts pitching, we'll see. But I'm sure LSU would not mind getting William Schmidt an extra day if possible, because he did throw on Saturday last week, and you'd be bumping him up to Friday this week if that game is played on time. So we'll break that series down tomorrow. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But, young pitchers with an opportunity to go out there against a bad offensive team in South Carolina and eat up some innings. And we'll see if they can do that whenever LSU and South Carolina do get underway this weekend. Right now, scheduled for 6:30 on Friday. Right now, it's time for Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so 6-time Pro Bowl defensive lineman Calais Campbell has signed a 1-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens today. And that's significant because this will mark year 19 for Calais Campbell, who will turn 40 on September 1st. So playing defensive tackle at 40 years old, take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it.
Just leave it alone.
The Calais Campbell can take it.
Yes.
He's good. He's going to the Hall of Fame, right?
I mean, 20 years.
If I had a vote, I'd put him in.
I mean, 20 years at
20 years
defensive tackle.
Production.
With production and accolades.
Yeah. A lot of winning football, too. I think that would be a guy that I would have to put a gold jacket on. And if he can still play, he can still play. And that's wild, but good for him.
can we say this is more impressive than quarterbacks making it to 40 years old?
Yeah. Tons of quarterbacks make it to 40 years old now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say D tackle though, like you're right there in the middle of the defense.
Yeah,
like,
that's a lot of head-to-head combat.
Oh yeah, I don't know. We'll see about him in a couple of years. All right, Eagles first round pick Mekhi Lemon has signed his rookie contract today, a fully guaranteed 4-year deal, $11.5 million signing bonus. So this is a new day and age where fully guaranteed contracts are now expected. Take it or leave it.
Take it. I mean, that's how the league works. Every time somebody gets something, everybody else goes, okay, unless you're Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And then you get it, and everyone goes, no one's doing that again. So good luck with that, quarterbacks. Yeah, maybe a rookie deal. You're planning on having that guy for 4 years, hopefully 5 if he's a first-round pick. So I think that's pretty reasonable because it's not that expensive. The quarterbacks are expensive. We're not guaranteeing you all your money if you stink. So that's the way that's going to go.
I know. It's crazy because I remember football players just fighting to get fully guaranteed contracts, and now they're just giving it out like candy if you get drafted. I mean, Ashton Genty came into the league the highest, second highest paid running back already. So last but not least, we have a good one right here. So Hershey CEO says mint and gum sales are surging due to Ozempic breath. So apparently, when you're the side effects of Ozempic, it causes like this extremely gnarly breath.
Really?
Yes. So apparently, it's called Ozempic breath, and now mint and gum sales are flying off the shelves right now. So losing weight, but gaining stinky breath. Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna leave it because I think you can lose weight without Ozempic, and so you could do that and not have the rank breath. But to each his own. Do whatever you got to do. Cut the LBs.
That's a weird payoff, though. You know,
if you got endless supplies of cash for gum, I guess make it work. And how bad are we talking here? Who's to say? But I think you can probably cut the pounds without the Ozempic. Is my guess.
Now that just makes me think: does Charles Barkley breath stink? No, not like, I mean, he is like the poster boy for Ozempic at the moment. So now I'm like, man, what is Ozempic breath? The fact that there's a term for stinky breath caused by Ozempic breath.
I mean, nobody knows what the side effects are. It just kind of is what it is. But
apparently, you're gonna be smelling like garbage. That's
not a great side effect. Brush your teeth, people.
So that's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It on this Thursday. Plenty of ground we covered here on this show today. I opened up the show talking about LSU's pitching. The Tigers have got to get more innings out of their starting rotation. It's probably too late for that this year because Cooper Moore's out for the year and because Kason Evans has been out since last week and may not pitch this weekend. You just don't have guys stretched out or that are effective enough. But we know that next year, if LSU is going to make a serious run at this thing, you've got to eat more innings up. And I talked about it, gave some numbers to it at the top of the show. Luke Johnson back in action for us after a little bit away with the newborn. The birthday boy came in and talked Saints with us, talked about the draft class. You can catch that wherever you find your sound. Hunt on Saints on YouTube as well. Joe Healy previewing the SEC baseball weekend to come. Appreciate Joe for jumping aboard. Lane Kiffin and big games. I wrote a column about it at louisianasports.net. You can go check that out for free. It's on the top of the homepage right now. I don't think you're going to see a huge home game in the non-conference under Lane Kiffin at LSU after LSU plays Clemson. I gave the reasons for it. I gave some stuff from Ole Miss, who he scheduled in the non-conference, and what he thinks about scheduling. He said it earlier this week, so you can check that out at Hunt on LSU. Chris Blair, good enough to give us a little bit of time here to talk LSU South Carolina. He'll be on the call whenever it is LSU and South Carolina get things underway, if it's tomorrow at 6:30 or maybe first thing on Saturday. Appreciate him for giving us a little bit of time and then a little bit more Lane Kiffin sound about spring football. Hunt on LSU is where you can find all our LSU coverage. Hunt on Saints, where you can find all our Saints coverage. Tomorrow, Preston Guy talking LSU. We'll talk a little bit about LSU and South Carolina. We'll get some Saints stuff as well. So plenty to do on tomorrow's show. For now, Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. We're back same time, same place tomorrow. That's where you can find us for a Friday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. New is still an apt description. They started up on October 1st, took over the store there on Highway 61 in St. Francisville, and they're thrilled. They've been in the Baton Rouge family, the Fabry family has, for 35 years, 3 locations, 5 brands. You know what you get when you work with the Fabry family. That's how they built a brand for 35 years. Incredible customer service, great buying experience, amazing service after the sale. That's what you get at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. If you're looking for a new truck, up to $11,000 off Silverado or 1.9 APR financing. Incredible deals on Chevy Silverado. Even better, up to $13,000 off GMC Sierras or 0.0 APR financing. Need a new truck, lease is about to be up, or just need a new ride? Fabry Chevrolet is happy to help you out with that. Go by and see him on Highway 61 in St. Francisville, or check him out online at FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com.